Well, good morning, everyone. Would you all stand? I hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving, and let's continue that feeling of gratitude in this moment of worship. I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. Come on, sing it out. 'Cause all my life you have been faithful, yes you have. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in darkest nights. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father, I've known you as a friend, and I have lived in the goodness of God. Yes, I have. 'Cause all my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Yes, I say you're good. All my life you have been faithful. All my life, and all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Yes, I say, your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down and surrendered now, I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down and surrendered now, I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. All my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I'll sing of the goodness of God. Yes, I'll say, oh, yes, I'll say. All my life you have been faithful. I'll testify. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I'll sing of the goodness of God. Oh, I will sing of the goodness of God.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. If we have not met yet, my name is Lindsay. I am the campus director here at our Clarkston location. Thank you so much for being with us in person, and those of you watching online, we see you. Thank you for joining us. As we start the morning, I'm going to have the ushers come down, and we are going to pass our offering. If Kensington's not your home church, I invite you to just let the baskets pass. But if this is your home, I would encourage you to consider financially partnering with us. Your generosity is what helps really fuel the opportunities that we have to get out into the community. Actually, just last week, I thought I'd show some fun pictures. On Friday, before Thanksgiving, all of our student ministry teams gathered at the Orion campus, and they packed 500 Thanksgiving basket blessings. This is what was in them. So thank you to our students for doing that. And then on Saturday, a bunch of our families here from Clarkston, we partnered with the Orion campus. We all came together and we picked up the baskets and went out into the communities and delivered them. It is truly an unbelievable serving opportunity. And again, your generosity is what helps fuel programs like this. It was super fun, just a great way to get out as a family and do a service opportunity. Another really fun thing coming up. Who's ready for this? December 11th, that's 2 weeks from today, we're having our cookies and cocoa party. This is going to be an opportunity for everyone, families, singles, old, young, everyone in between, to join us after service to just slow down for a few minutes, enjoy some fellowship with each other. We're going to have a hot chocolate bar and then also some cookie decorating stations. So we encourage you to put it on your calendar, plan to stay after service on December 11th. That is coming up soon. And this is crazy. Who knows how many days it is until Christmas? 28 days. Y'all, that's like practically tomorrow, it feels like. So for our Christmas Eve services, which isn't 27 days, we are going to have a 10 a.m. and a 12 p.m. service here at Clarkston in the auditorium. Tickets will be available. They're free, but we do encourage you to get a ticket to make sure that we don't overflow the auditorium. Tickets will be available on the website starting December 4th, so next weekend. So kensingtonchurch.org/Christmas, you can pick your Christmas tickets up there. And also, something that the Clarkston campus is trying for the first time ever, really, is we are going to offer elementary school programming during the 10 a.m. service on Christmas. So normally we would encourage our elementary students to join us in the auditorium with their families. This year we're going to offer one service of elementary programming. So if you're going to come to the 10 o'clock service, while your children are still, of course, welcome in the auditorium, they will have the opportunity to go back to K-Kids and enjoy a full-fledged Christmas program. But in order to make that happen, we, as always, are looking for volunteers who are willing to serve with us at 10 o'clock and then join the service at 12. So even if you serve at 10, you can still see the entire full service at 12 on Christmas Eve. So if you're interested in partnering with us to make that kids program happen, stop by the hub after service and we can get you signed up. Again, it doesn't mean you have to miss Christmas Eve service. You still get to enjoy it, but you get to enjoy it at 12 instead of at 10. And also, as we continue to talk about your year-end Christmas gifts, we are going to share a testimony here that's just really a beautiful opportunity of another way that your generosity helps spur community outreach and programs within Clarkston, Pontiac, and the surrounding areas. So take a minute and watch this video.
When we look at inner city schools, they're usually lacking in adequate reading materials. They don't even have books. We always find ourselves always trying to get the same level or quality of education as the suburban schools. And so when you look at opportunities in places like Flint, Michigan, or Pontiac, when you don't see anything different, you just feel like you just sucked into the world that's around you. I grew up in Flint, Michigan. Parents were teenagers when they had me. We lived in, inner city neighborhoods, getting kicked out of houses and getting kicked out of apartments, and just having that instability of where we're going to live and how we're going to get around. I remember we finally got one real car, and it got repossessed in less than 6 months because they couldn't afford the payments. Ever since I was a little girl, I always wanted to be a doctor. Went off to college, and I started my career path to pursue medicine. I took a class called Careers in Health my senior year, and that's when I found out about physician assistant, nurse practitioner, and I was like, oh, I can go that route, so I went that route. So I graduated with my pre-med degree and then went to Wayne State. They had a second degree program. So then I did that. I was only supposed to work 1 year as a nurse, but my husband wanted to get his master's first. So after he finished, then I went back to grad school and got my degree for adult primary care nurse practitioner. So about 10 years ago, I started another program called GEO. We went around to local inner city high schools and we recruited high school students and we took them on college excursions, I call it. But I remember during that time, I went up to Pontiac High School and I took them a flyer. I remember they looked at it and it was like, our kids, you know, they wouldn't be interested in this. And I was just like, wow, you didn't even ask them, but okay, you know, so it was that. So I thought that was kind of weird. And so I started doing some research and I just noticed that with Pontiac High School, with the proficiency scores in regards to math and reading, it was terrible. Like it was like 0% were proficient in math and like less than 10% were proficient in reading. And so now I'm going back to that little girl, Tamika, you know, who was in the inner city and knowing that education was one of the main things that can get us out and transform our narrative and our future generations to come. And so I was like, wow, I reached out to school partners at Kensington. And I was like, Julie, what about the high school? Like, are we doing anything in the high school? And she said, Tamika, why don't you just go start something at the high school? I said, sign me up. Sounds like a winner.
Ma'am, I need your pencil.
Why?
I need your pencil.
I like dialogue. I found out he got a brother. I need a pencil. Okay, well then we might. So Imagine is an after-school program at Pontiac High School, and our vision is to bring an end to generational poverty. And our mission on how we do that, we transform the way the students view themselves, the way they view education, and the way they view the world around them. So what a typical day looks like. We meet on Mondays after school from 2:30 to 5 p.m. We feed them, and then usually at 2:45, we actually start the tutoring time. And we do math drills to build up those muscles. And then I am statements is just, you know, we believe the power of life and death is in the tongue. So it's getting them to speak different, to believe something different. So they say things like, I am created to do good. I am brilliant. I am amazing. You know, I am loved. I am accepted.
I am made in the image and likeness of God. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am brilliant. I am created to do good. I am accepted. I am loved. I am destined for greatness.
And then we get into our large group. This past week, we talked about identity, talked about the power of education.
So don't let whatever your circumstances are hold you back, make you feel like you can't do it, make you feel like it's not worth it, make you feel like it's too hard, because that's not the case.
But it's just great to see them come alive. I mean, these students are coming alive. So Faith is a young lady. She was a senior last year. I said, Faith, you know, what do you want to be when you grow up? And she was just like, well, I want to be a nurse. I said, well, you should do it. And she's like, have you seen my grades? She's like, nah, I'm not going to be able to do it.
When I started high school, you need 22 credits to graduate from Pontiac High. I had 12 and a half. So I had to make up 10 credits by May. Not only did I have to make up 10 credits, I had to keep up with my core classes as well. So my head, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna graduate. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna graduate. But then you had Tamika like, Nurse Faith, you got it. You had Wendy like, you're so smart, you got it.
And eventually she just started like believing like nothing's impossible. She got to the end, she was like, Miss Tamika, I'm not gonna stop at my bachelor's degree. I'm gonna go and get my PhD. I'm gonna be just like you. I'm gonna have my own practice. I'm gonna do this and that. And I was like, let's do it. And I was like, come on.
All year, I'm like, I'm missing this amount of credits. I'm not ready yet. I'm not there. My grades are already bad. So when the lady called me into the office and was like, here's your cap and gown, I'm like, wait, like what? Like, here's my what, huh? Like, she gave it to me and all I could do was sit there and I almost cried in her face. Like, I'm like, I really did it. And the first person I called, Tamika. Tamika was so happy. Oh my God, Nurse Faith, you did it! Like, that made me feel good because I'm like, they helped me, now they proud of me, so I have to make sure that they continue to be proud of me because Tamika believed in me when nobody else did. It was Nurse Faith all year. And she still don't stop calling me that, so I like that.
We went to Oakland University for a tour, and the lady at Oakland University, the connection there, she really gravitated towards Faith, because Faith was just asking a lot of questions. She was really interested. And so she the one told Faith about Jackson Community College, because Jackson Community College, they have dorms and all this type of stuff. She can still have that college feel, but be able to bring her grades up.
I applied in July, and I found out maybe a couple of days after I applied, and I was like, whoa. Like, cause my whole thing was I wanted to go away. Cause like if I go home, I'm gonna get the staying at home and not want to do what I'm supposed to do. But I'm like, okay, now that I'm not at home, I'm an hour and a half away. I can't just get up and go home. I can't quit even if I wanted to. So it pushes me to just keep going. I don't have a choice.
Hey, Nurse Frank. Hey. How you doing?
I'm here.
You're so funny. It's so good to see you.
I'm gonna get my associates in nursing here.
I know. What's been going
And then I want to move to Texas and go to Texas Southern and get my bachelor's and my master's in nursing. The fact that I even got here from high school is amazing.
The Bible says with God, nothing's impossible, right? And that's just what I believe. I just believe that if the right person is in your place and around you, then it can bring different things out of you that had you been alone and isolated, couldn't.
I am loved and I am destined for greatness.
I am artistic, I am fun, and I am well-mannered.
These futures are going to be changed forever. Their generations are going to be changed forever.
I am successful.
I am brilliant and I am accepted.
And just having that type of community around you can be one that not only nurtures you, but also cause you to grow and to blossom and to sprout like never before.
I am loved and appreciated by my friends and family. I know that I am fearless.
Then after college, I was gonna go to the military, do my 4 years in the Navy, and live a happy life after that. True.
Tamika's story is overwhelming because she had a vision and she stepped out in courage to share that vision with the next generation and to see the impact in Faith's life and many more as she spoke words of life and identity. It's just so powerful to consider how Tamika's story is just one of many stories happening around Kensington.
And that really is what our Move Out Network is. It's these opportunities to be the hands and feet of Jesus to our local communities. And it is such a privilege just to see the different ways that people are moving beyond the four walls of the church to be able to bring the love and the hope of Jesus to our local communities.
So as you consider a year-end Christmas gift to Kensington, I want to say thank you. You are a part of Tamika's story and many other stories of impact throughout our community, and we're so glad that you consider us a place that you want to partner with. Now, Shauna, quick question. Is it a real Christmas tree or a fake Christmas tree?
Oh, there is only one answer, and that is real, 100%.
I agree. We just picked up ours and cannot wait to celebrate this next season.
Yes, and we hope you have a wonderful Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Wow. Isn't that just a beautiful story of truly how we are able at Kensington to be the hands and feet of Jesus? Gives me goosebumps. Our mission statement here is to see everyone transformed and mobilized by Jesus, and that is what Tamika is doing. And so as you consider all of the organizations that you could potentially donate to this year-end, I want to encourage you to consider Kensington at the top of your list. It's your year-end giving that helps propel move out opportunities like this. So without your generosity, we wouldn't be able to do it. So thank you in advance for considering to partner with us for year end. Now, it is my pleasure and honor to introduce our speaker today, Dr. Eric Moore. Dr. Moore is a professor at Moody Theological Seminary and also the lead pastor at Tree of Life Church. Welcome.
Thank you. Well, good morning, Kensington, Clarkston. I live down in the Redford area, and I thought I was driving to Traverse City this morning, coming out here, but especially in the rain. But it's good to be here. Now Jeremiah asked me. He says, "I'm going on vacation. Can you speak for me?" And I just got one thing a limitation, and that is you cannot be political. You cannot talk about politics. You cannot. Don't say anything. I don't want to come back and hear that you have said one thing political. But I'm sorry, Jeremiah. How about them Wolverines? Yeah! Now, my heart breaks for you Buckeye fans, not really. But I still hope that if you are a Buckeye fan, you'll still listen to the message today. But I am definitely go blue, so I am excited about what happened yesterday. Even in the rain today, it is a good day. Well, you guys have been doing this 4-week series on tables, and today is the final installation of that series and looking at the Lord's table, and there's going to be a time for us to take the Lord's Supper together today as well. But if you have your Bible, I want to invite you because part of this today is we're going to look at this journey that the disciples took to the table. And we're going to see if there's anything in these passages of Scripture that may even speak to us. Now, the Lord's Supper was during the Passover supper and the time of unleavened bread, and Jesus is about on his way to the cross. And so he's going to have this dinner with his disciples. And so in Mark 14, and we're going to look at some of the verses in this chapter, in Mark 14, at verse 12, the disciples come to him, and he says this here, on the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, when it was customary to sacrifice the Passover lamb, Jesus' disciples asked him, where do you want us to go and make preparations for you to eat the Passover? Now, I want to look at this right here before we move any further because they have spent 3.5 years with Jesus. And if this had been 2 years before, they probably would have been freaking out. They would have said, well, Jesus, what are we going to do? Here it is. It's the week of the Passover, and we don't have a place to have dinner. We don't have a Passover lamb. We don't have anything prepared. We don't have anything. But now, since they have been walking with Jesus, they are calmer. They know that Jesus is somehow going to work this thing out. They don't know how, but they know he's going to work it out. And so they come with an attitude of, Lord, what do you want? Not what we want or even what we see. What do you want? Matter of fact, if we look at this passage, we see 2 times they say, where do you want us to go and make preparations for you to eat the Passover? They have finally come to a place where they are trusting Jesus. Now, once again, if you walk with the disciples with Jesus, you see that this has been a journey to get to the point where they can trust him. And the reality is that's the same for us. That if you tell me that you trust Jesus totally, either you are psychotic or a liar. We are on this journey of trusting him more and more. And they have begun the whole trusting process of knowing that even though they don't know what's going to happen, they can trust Jesus. There's a commercial. I can't remember what it's about. You ever seen that? You see a commercial. It's a good commercial. You like the commercial, but you don't have the slightest idea what that commercial was about. Well, I remember this commercial, right? There's this man. He's in the swimming pool, and his little boy is on the edge of the swimming pool, and he's holding his hands out for his little boy to jump. And the little boy has to think about it for a moment, but then he jumps into his dad's arms. And it's a beautiful commercial because the dad is smiling and he's smiling and you get warm and fuzzies. Well, when my daughter was about 4 years old and she loved water, couldn't swim, but she loved to be in water. And we were in this pool up at Saginaw Valley. We were actually, I remember we were in Saginaw Valley's pool. There was a conference up there, and she went up there with me. The whole family did. And so I put this little vest on her, one of those floaty vests. And so she wanted to get into the water, but she was so short. And so since she was about 3 feet tall. We were at the pool where it was 4 feet. And so I thought I'd just have some fun. And so I took her and dangled her over the water, 4 feet, she's 3 feet. And so I just went bonsai and I dropped her. And she went right down into the water. I still see her face to this day. And there was panic on her face. And I mean, she was like, oh, and she thought she was going to drown. But because she had the vest, what happened? She came right up. When she was coming up, I knew one thing. If I had a panic look on my face, she was going to freak out. But if I was smiling, which I did, and was like, good girl, she came up and that panic changed, and all of a sudden, she was good. She thought she was swimming. She learned the hard way that she could trust her dad. Jesus put his disciples in all type of situations, and sometimes those situations were hard, but he was doing it so that they could learn to trust him. Some of you might be going through some tough situations right now. We celebrate the holidays, but sometimes the holidays brings pain and painful memories and challenges. But God might just be teaching us to trust him even in the midst of the difficulty. The disciples had come to a place where they could trust Jesus. And so in verse 13, it says, so he sent 2 of the disciples, that is, he sent Peter and John, telling them, go into the city, and a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him. The disciples didn't know what they were going to do, but Jesus says, okay, this is what I want you to do. The rest of you stay here, but John and Peter, I want you to go into Jerusalem. And even though Jerusalem is busy and is hopping because it is the time of the Passover and people are selling and buying and moving or whatever, I want you to go into the city. And when you get there, there's going to be a guy with a jar of water. Follow him. Now, I don't know if that, if you get that, but, okay, well, what's his name? What does he look like? It's crowded in Jerusalem, Jesus. Jesus just tells them to go, and they go. Now, for Thanksgiving, I was downtown Detroit. And I participated in this race called the Stuffing Strut. That's what it is, Stuffing Strut. The Stuffing Strut was the 5K run. The Turkey Trot was the 10K run. The Mashed Potato was the 1 mile run. And altogether, there were over 20,000 people in downtown Detroit, just for that. And then after that was the parade. And so there was a bunch of people on the side of the road for the parade. And then you had the football game. And so there was at least 65,000 people down there for the football game. That would be like me saying to you, hey, I got 2 tickets to the Lions game. And I gave him to a guy, and he's going to be downtown with a green jacket on. The disciples went through the gate, and they were looking for a guy with a jar, which was unusual, because the guys generally had a leather bottle of water, not a jar of water. A jar of water is something that the servants would have, so that narrows it down some. But here's the key of this verse. It says, a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. The man knew who John and Peter were. The man was looking for them. all they needed to do was go through the gate, and the man with the jar would find them. You know, Jesus always has people looking for us. Always. Always. You know, think about how we came to know Jesus. Maybe that man with the jar was our parents. Maybe it was a sibling. Maybe it was a neighbor. Maybe it was one day when you went to church, but somebody was looking for you. And for some who may not even know Jesus yet, you might even be here today or watching online, but somebody invited you. That neighbor that keeps bugging you, that coworker that keeps praying for you. God has given them an assignment. And that assignment is to look out for you and to bring you into relationship with Jesus. Jesus tells them to go. They go. And Jesus has somebody who is waiting and looking for them. Verse 14, Jesus gives them, Peter and John, instructions. He says, say to the owner of the house, he enters, the teacher asks, where is my guest room where I may eat the Passover with my disciples? He will show you a large room upstairs, furnished and ready. Make preparations for us there. The disciples left, went into the city, and found things just as Jesus had told them. So they prepared the Passover. Jesus followed the guy. When he gets to the house, ask him about the room, and he'll show you a room, and the room is fully furnished, and that's where you will prepare the meal. Now, disciples, Peter and John had a lot to do. They had an awful lot to do. I mean, they had to go into Jerusalem. They had to find a lamb without spot or blemish. They had to get the lamb slaughtered. They had to prepare the lamb. They had to get unleavened bread. They had to get bitter herbs. And the biggest thing they had to do was at this late moment, they had to find a place to hold the dinner. But Jesus had already taken care of the major obstacle already. But he invited them to participate in what he was doing. He invited them to participate. That's what Jesus does. We just saw this video of this great ministry that's going on in Pontiac. And Jesus is inviting us to be a part of what he is already doing. My son and I, he's in his early 20s, and we decided we were going to do something different. You know, he's getting older now. He's last year at Oakland University, and you know, he's starting to find out that his dad knew what he was talking about when he was younger. You know, up until that time, I was kind of stupid. Now, all of a sudden, I've become smart. So now he wants to hang out with me a little bit. And so last year, what we did was we said, okay, well, every year, why don't we go to an NFL game in a different city? So last year, we started. And I said, okay, let's go to D.C., and watch the Washington football team play the Seattle Seahawks, because Seattle is, don't take this the wrong way. Okay, this wasn't even part of my sermon. I'm just going to go here for a minute. You know, I used to take my son to a Lions game every year since he was about this high. And he asked me when he was about 8, so Dad, when's the last time the Lions been to the Super Bowl? And he asked it in public, too. And so all the other people started answering before I could answer. And so now he's like Lions averse. So now his new team is the Seattle Seahawks. Okay, I just want to let you know that. That's why. So I said, okay, well, let's go see the Seattle Seahawks. They're going to play the Washington football team. And so what I did is I got the tickets. I got the place for us to stay. I paid for my airplane flight. But I said, if you really want to go, you got to pay for your own flight. You have to participate. I've already arranged everything for you to go, but you have to be involved. Jesus invites us into what he's already prepared for us. Matter of fact, Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10 says it this way. For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, don't miss this, which God prepared in advance for us to do. God has already prepared great works for us to do, and he invites us in to participate in what he's already prepared for us. And why does he do that? Why does he do that? Well, John 13 helps us to understand why Jesus not only invites us into what he's prepared, but also invites the disciples into this Passover meal and invites you and I into the Lord's Supper. John 13, verse 1. It says, it was just before the Passover meal. Jesus knew that the hour had come for him to leave this world and to go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. Jesus invites us into the works he's already prepared for us, and he invites us to the Lord's Supper because he loves us. He loves us. He created us. He's provided for us. He invites us into his life. It was just Thanksgiving, right? We just had that wonderful opportunity to enjoy Thanksgiving meals, and you probably would have been with some of your family members. Some you like, some not so much, but at least the family was together. And ever since I was a kid, my grandmother used to always have Thanksgiving meal over her house, and we would go over there, and my grandmother would be there, my grandfather would be there, my aunts and my uncles and myriad of cousins, and we would be there, and we would always give grace and thank the Lord for what he's done and just hang out and have a good time. And then my grandmother and my grandfather, they passed a number of years ago, and we wondered, okay, well, how is this tradition going to continue? And so my mom and dad began to have Thanksgiving meal at their house. And so now their sons and grandkids and daughters-in-laws come over to their house. And it's just a wonderful thing. And why do we invite family over our house for this meal? Because the hosts love the guests. They want to be with them. They want to talk with them. They want to share a meal with them and create memories with them. And so Jesus says that we are his family. And when we come to the Lord's Supper, he is inviting his family into a meal with him because he is creating memories, and he loves us and wants to be with us. I actually think this hit me the most this year. My youngest daughter, the one that has trust issues now because I dropped her off to that pool. But she graduated during COVID from high school. And so she didn't get to do her senior trip. Her first year of college was online and basically in her bedroom at home. Her sophomore year was the same thing. Classes online in her bedroom. But now she's a junior. And she was able to move out of the house and live on campus. And man, this is just wonderful for her. She got her own car and she got her own part-time job, and it's all good. You know, we don't hardly see her anymore. And so she came home the night before Thanksgiving. She came home Wednesday. She came home night before Thanksgiving. I was in the bed. You know, I didn't want to seem too excited, so I just stayed in the bed. You know, like you know, well, you know, she just came in. But of course, I was like, yay! Hey, she finally came home. And so I see her in the morning, it's all good, and you know, we're having a good time, and then we go over to grandparents' house and have this great Thanksgiving dinner, and it's just wonderful to see my daughter there, and oh man, it's just great. And then we come home, and she go in the bedroom, and I said, oh man, this is gonna be cool. She's gonna stay here she's gonna stay here all 4 days. It's good, you know, I miss my daughter, yeah. About 8 o'clock at night, she get up fully dressed, talking about I'm going back to school. I'm like, what do you mean you're going back to school? You mean, I thought we was going to bond. I thought this was all good. I thought, man, I missed you. I want you to hang out. But she got in the car, packed her clothes, and went back to school. And I said, man, maybe that's a tinge of what Jesus feels. When we come to his supper and we run through it and we say, thank you, Jesus, this is all good. And then we run off and don't think about him again until it's time to do it again. How does Jesus feel? See, I think the meal is a reminder of the relationship that's here to remind us what he's done for us and to say, hey, don't forget about me. We're in relationship. This is more than a meal. This is an ongoing conversation and relationship that you are serving right along with me. And I love everything about you. So Jesus does this because he loves us. But also, John 13, verse 3. It says, Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal, took off his outer garment, and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with the towel that was wrapped around him. Jesus not only loves us, but he desires to serve us, to demonstrate his love. The God of creation came down to this earth, not only died for our sin, but also was willing to take on the role of a servant and wash the disciples' feet. This shows that we are special to Jesus. A number of years ago, I spoke at a high school, middle school chapel service. And I actually preached John 13. They asked me to preach on John 13, so I did. I spoke on John 13. And just so happened that a young lady, teenager, in our church went to the school. And she had been sharing how even in the Christian school, she was getting picked on, she was getting bullied, she was being made fun of. And so I called her mother and I said, do you think that as I do this chapel, I could do something special? I said, I just want to make sure it's okay. It's a new day, new age. Is it okay if I touch your daughter's feet? Now, you know you got to get permission for that. Is it okay? He said, yeah, Pastor, no problem. I said, okay, I want to do that. So at that chapel, this young lady who I knew was being made fun of, criticized, bullied. I said, I'm going to demonstrate this in action. So I called the young lady. I asked her if she would come up, sit down, pulled out a basin of water, and I washed her feet. She told me the next Sunday at church, she said, Pastor, that was so cool. I didn't know what you were going to do, but now everybody's coming up to me. They was like, hey, how did he call you out? Oh, man, that was great. That was just wonderful. Oh, man, you must be really special. Washing her feet communicated to all her students, fellow students, that she was special. Jesus washed disciples' feet, showing that the God of creation would humble himself as a servant and demonstrate that not only did he love them, but they were special to him. Each of us are uniquely special to God. Well, I'm going to go back to Mark 14 because we are going to actually take the Lord's Supper today. We're going to take it because he loves us. We're going to take it because we're special to him. And we're going to take it because he desires to have relationship with us. John 14, verse 22 says, while they were eating, Jesus took bread. When he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to his disciples, saying, Take it, this is my body. When the Lord took the bread, it was representative of the fact that his body would hang on a cross and that he would die for us. Mark 14:23 says, then he took the cup. When he had given thanks, he gave it to them, and they drank from it. This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many, he said to them. This cup represents not only the shedding of his blood, but that Jesus has entered a new covenant and relationship with us. And so as we take of the bread and take of the cup, it is not just a snack or a meal, but it is saying that we are in relationship with the God of creation who died for our sin, that we might be ever in relationship with him. We have 4 stations around the auditorium, 2 up front and 2 on the side. And the band and praise team are going to sing, and as the Lord prompts you, you can come up to either of the stations and partake of the bread and of the cup. And if for some reason you're not able to make it to one of the stations, you can just raise your hand right where you are, and one of the ushers will bring the elements to you. And so as they play, as they sing, might you go before the Lord, and as your heart is right, come and partake of the Lord's Supper.
All my words fall short. I've got nothing new. How could I express all my gratitude? I could sing these songs as I often do, but every song must end, and you never do. So I throw up my hands and praise you again and again, 'cause all that I have is a hallelujah, hallelujah. And I know it's not much, but I'm nothing else fit for a king, except for a heart singing hallelujah, hallelujah. I've got one response, I've got just one move. So with my arms stretched wide, I will worship you. So I throw up my hands and praise you again and again, 'cause all that I have is a hallelujah, hallelujah. And I know it's not much, but I'm nothing else fit for a king, except for a heart singing hallelujah, Come on, my soul, don't you get shy on me, lift up your song, 'cause you've got a lion inside of those lungs. Get up and praise the Lord. Come on, my son, don't you get shy on me, lift up your song, 'cause you've got a lion inside of those lungs. Get up and praise the Lord. Come on, my soul, don't you get shy on me, lift up your song, 'cause you've got a lion inside of those lungs. Get up and praise the Lord. your heart singing hallelujah, hallelujah. If you haven't done so, you guys feel welcome to take communion. Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You have been so, so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. You have been so, so kind to me. Come on, we sing. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, finds till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it. Still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Yes. Oh, your love. Thank you for your love, Jesus. When I was your foe, still your love fought for me. Yes, it did. Oh, you have been so, so good to me. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me on that cross. You did. You have been so, so kind to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, finds till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it. Still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Oh no, there's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. Yes, I know it's true. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow, there's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow. Mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. on, let's sing that chorus out again. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God.
God's reckless love invites us into his supper. But more than that, he invites us into relationship. So as we leave today, even though we've partaken in the meal, let's continue to walk in relationship with him, knowing that he has great things for us, things that he's prepared before eternity for us to walk in with him. Have a great week, a blessed week, and may God bless you.